Okay, we are now at item number 8.
We did the funding request, right?
We did the funding. Yep, didn't we do the we did the funding request, didn't we?
The 11.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Road paving.
Road paving. Tony, I will turn this over to you.
Okay. So it's that time of year where we're going to do our annual road paving program, and the first item on your list, your agenda, is just a list of the roads that are planned. This is a Warren's recommendation and is, of course, subject to pricing and funding and all that sort of stuff in terms of the price of asphalt fluctuates. So that's for your information. I'll just want me to read them off. Would be helpful.
What
The list of roads.
Oh, the list of roads. So.
That's the first page.
Yes, please.
Overlay on Timber Lane, mill and overlane on Research Drive and Tulip Tree Lane, and full depth reclamation on Spoke Drive, Grove Hill Road, Stonewall Lane, and Wolf Tree Lane.
I will make a motion that we approve this road improvement list. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Susan,
Aye.
did you vote?
I voted.
Aye. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. All right. The next item is a bid waiver request for milling and reclaiming.
Milling and reclaiming is when we have a contractor come in and mill the road, creates like grooves, or I've seen them chew up the road, and that prepares it for paving. And we'd like to use Garrity Asphalt Reclaiming, which is on state contract again. And the idea behind state contract is because the state bids for their own use, they have a lot more use than we do, and so we get good pricing.
So Tony,
That's the
do
whole
we
idea.
need to do a separate vote on a bid waiver and
Yep.
then the award? Or
It's sort of the
together?
same one.
So we
Yeah,
can do it
same
together.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, I will move acceptance of the bid waiver request and the award of the road milling and reclaiming contract to Garrity Asphalt Reclaiming, Inc. Is there a second?
Second.
You think I'm missing something from this motion?
Do you have to have the price?
Uh,
Am I
Did you say
wrong?
In reference to the memo?
The memorandum?
Oh, as described, okay, as described in the memorandum to Tony from Warren Connors dated June 5th, 2017.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Asphalt.
So this is related to using asphalt during the year, and not for specifically for our paving program. This is when we pick up. Yeah.
Do you mind taking your conversation outside? Thank you.
So that on occasion, not during the paving program, we'll get into that next. But throughout the year, as the town does its own patching and paving, it says it in Warren's memo for patch, repair, and small paving program needs. We go pick up the pavement ourselves, and so we would like to use O&G Industries out of Waterbury, which is state contract also. It was a low price for this.
Do we have to do a bid waiver for this, or we just go to state contract? This doesn't.
It's just you're waiving the bid process for the town to use state contract bid process. The state.
Oh, so it's assumed once you say you're going to state contract.
Yeah, you
don't
just
have
assume
to say that.
you're waiving our bid process for that.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to award the asphalt work as described in the memo of June 5th, 2017 to Tony from Warren Connors to O&G Industries, Inc. in Waterbury under the state contract?
So moved.
Second.
Does that take
Yep.
care of what you need?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Any questions or discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Next item is a bid waiver request for in-place application of bituminous pavement. I will move acceptance of the bid waiver request and award of the contract to Salwar Inc. in accordance with the memorandum from Warren Connors to Tony Genovese dated June 5th, 2017. Is there a second?
Second.
So the state puts out vendor in place pricing, which is basically you pay a vendor to come out and install and to pay for you, and that includes the price of the pavement. So you pay 1 per ton price, which includes installation, pavement, materials, the whole thing. And so the state puts out a contract. If you go online, you can see that contract award online. And for each town, they actually price also, because they do work on state roads in each town. And also the towns could piggyback on this. And in Woodbridge, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies. Salwar is the second low bid. The low bid, there is a lower bidder. Warren does not recommend using the low bid. Has had unfavorable experiences in the past, and for the small amount that it would cost to go to the second low bid, which is about $8,000 or so, Warren's recommending $6,000 to $8,000 that we use the second low bid, which is Salwar.
And just to be clear, what did you say the difference was?
It depends on how much we use of each product, but it's like $1 for one product and $2 for the other product. So it sort of depends on how much.
Just so people understand, it was $6,000 to $8,000.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was out of a contract of
Yeah, it was almost
$450,000. So
Right.
it's not significant.
Yeah, and the Salwar is of course a local bidder. Is a local vendor.
Which you always
and
try,
the town
you always
resident,
try to use.
Right, which we try to use if we can. They have done work for us in the past.
Is that
And
who we buy our salt from? It sounds so familiar.
No, it's
No,
Morton
no.
salt. We use Morton salt.
Morton.
I remember the
Oh, really?
name.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Because it's
Morton,
Morton.
same as the one you use
Yeah.
for cooking, right?
Right.
Sorry. I apologize for
We're
that.
a little digressing.
So we have a motion and second, correct? Yeah, any other?
I have a question. At the end of Warren's memo, it says, should this be the case, a road proposed for overlay may be dropped if they run out of money? Or
Right. Basically, what happens
Yeah.
is if the price of asphalt goes higher,
Yeah.
because it's basically the way it works is on state contract, they price it at a certain time, and then there's escalation or de-escalation charges based on the price of oil.
Okay.
So if the price of oil for some reason skyrockets and it costs us a lot more for asphalt, Warren would have to remove one of the roads.
Okay, which would be, I guess, Timber Lane.
Timber Lane, right.
Because of overlay. Okay.
Right.
So
The
I would like
opposite
to
is
just
true.
comment, I hope that doesn't happen.
The opposite is also true.
Because
If the-
I've heard a lot from certain
And we could-
residents on that. So maybe we could try to make it work.
We could, or we could get the more funding
We could
Well,
spend
yeah.
money.
if
Oh,
you want.
goody. Well,
But the
okay.
opposite's also true. If
Yeah.
the price goes down,
Right.
we could pay more.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to
Anything
comment
else?
about that.
Yeah,
If
that's
not,
good.
all those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Betsy, do you have anything? Anything new, Betsy?
Just a quick update.
She still hasn't had a baby.
I'm still here. The videos that you all approved the contract for almost a year ago, we're doing edits on them now, so I'm back and forth with the company, and they've turned out really, really well. I think everyone's going to be pleased with the product, and I'm hopeful that they will be on the website to coincide with the new term. So very, very, very early July is my goal.
Nice.
And then lastly, just want to make everyone aware that the next newsletter coming out is a combined issue for July and August, so you will not be receiving a separate issue in August, but in early July you will receive the one issue for both months. It's the summer issue, basically.
Excellent.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you.
Town council.
So you have the harassment and discrimination policy in your packet, and you might ask, don't we already have a harassment and discrimination policy in effect? And we do. And this is the proposed replacement of that policy. Betsy has been working on this and was working with Jim Riscotti, who does some work for the town, and he indicated that he thought this policy that you have in front of him is far superior to what we have in place. And Betsy, maybe you want to describe how this came about?
I think Tony and Jim had talked about this, and it was
Right.
Jim's
Yeah,
suggestion.
okay, Tony knows,
So
right.
we had a more
Yeah, we do training on this occasionally, and we're coming up to that time where we would provide training for our employees and our supervisors. And so Jim and I were discussing our current policy, and he made the suggestion that we improve it and do, rewrite it. And so this was his suggestion.
And thank you, Betsy, for
So Betsy basically
getting this done.
made it
Getting it
happen.
together. And this is basically taken from one of the other towns who Jim does some work with, and he says that this is really, as far as he's concerned, from what I can gather, a superior policy
Yes.
to what we have, and
Correct.
one of the best that he's seen in the state. I looked at it, it looks fine, it does improve what we have right now. Beth called me earlier today and picked up some omissions in
Of
this
course, I read
policy.
it like minutes.
And I'm gonna have, Beth, maybe you'd want to tell them what you found.
Well, you want me to tell?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, in the beginning, in the overview, it talks about all employees, appointees, and elected officials. And then in various places in the document, it just says employees, so I thought it should be consistent.
Right.
So I just said to Jerry, is that okay? Because, and he said, sure, bring it up.
So no, and it was a very good point, and so what we'll do is when we do, if the board approves this policy,
Right.
when we retype it and make it final, we'll make that consistent throughout the document, that wherever there's a reference to employees, where appropriate, we will add appointee
Appointees
or
and
elected
elected
officials.
officials.
So it will be appointee, that's it.
Fair enough.
Or
Other than that, I
define
thought it
it.
was excellent. What?
Or just define it.
Yeah, when it's not defined, it's probably easier just to,
If it
Whatever
doesn't show up
way
a
you want
lot.
to do it, yeah.
right, it's only
That's my
4 or
only
5, 3 or 4
thought.
times.
Thank you, Beth.
Tony,
Always to
how
everyone.
often do these trainings, like once a year, you do them?
There's a requirement for it. I think it's every 2 years.
Every 2 years?
Yeah. Or if there's a new hire.
Or a new hire?
Yeah.
Or a new appointee, or a new elected official?
Well, we do provide training for our supervisors
Uh-huh.
and employees. We've actually never provided training for elected or appointed officials.
I mean,
but I
the
suppose-
reason I'm asking the question is if it's broadened in that way, the training is not going to affect the way it's set up right now, so it's just something to think about.
You're suggesting that everyone who's affected by this should get trained.
Well,
Which is-
or
yeah.
at least get the notice.
Provide the
Yeah, right.
opportunity, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
something. I mean, I've been on this,
We could.
on some board or another for 25 years. I've never once heard of this policy or its predecessor, so.
Well, now it's been added.
That's one of the changes, is
Yeah.
it's included.
Maybe it was just
There you go.
employees.
It was just
right?
employees,
There you
right.
go. So
Okay.
now we're going to broaden it to
Okay.
all of us.
Is there a motion to approve the harassment and discrimination policy with the amendment as noted by Beth?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
One other thing we have.
Yes.
So then the last thing that I have to talk about is, we put at your place before the meeting a decision from the Freedom of Information Commission. You take a look at it. I don't know, and it's dated June 1st,
Is this the one
2017.
from Phyllis?
Yes.
Okay.
There was, as you all may recall, there was a Freedom of Information complaint filed against the town by a town resident, Phyllis Janelle. And the basic allegation was that in November, there was a meeting of the Board of Selectmen called for the purpose of reviewing a proposal by Toll Brothers regarding their new
Their newest.
senior housing proposal at the Country Club of Woodbridge. And the first selectman invited the Board of Finance to attend the meeting. There wasn't a meeting of the Board of Finance. They were just specifically invited to attend because they thought, the first selectman, Ellen, thought they would be interested in hearing what the proposal was. 3 out of the 6 members of the Board of Finance came to the meeting and were seated, I believe, right over there, where next to where Susan is, and their nameplates from the Board of Finance meetings were put in front of them. The concern and the complaint by Mrs. Janelle was that constituted the meeting of the Board of Finance, which was not properly noticed, and therefore illegal and contrary to the Freedom of Information regulation. We felt that was inappropriate, and that there was no meeting of the Board of Finance. We defended the complaint at the Freedom of Information Commission. Ellen appeared with me. Ellen was our witness. The complainant, Mrs. Janelle, appeared, and she also testified. The hearing officer issued her decision on May 31st, and she upheld the town's position. And basically, I'll just read little portions. At the hearing on this matter, the respondents' counsel contended that the 3 members of the Board of Finance were not attending in their official capacities as members of the Board of Finance, and that the comments they provided were personal. And it is the commission found that even though the manner in which the 3 members of the Board of Finance offered their comments sitting at the table with their official nameplates, they were not acting in their official capacity. And it was concluded by the hearing officer that the respondents and Mrs. Janelle's, that we, the town, did not violate the FOI Act as alleged by the complainant, and her complaint was dismissed. So it was a victory, and the procedures of FOI do not stop with the proposed finding of the hearing officer. We had to appear today, actually. There was a hearing by the full commission of the Freedom of Information Commission, where they were going to review this proposed decision and decide whether they would follow it or whether they would reverse it. Ellen and I again went up there this afternoon, and happily they approved the proposed decision, and now this is the law that there was no violation by the town on this specific occasion. So it was a good result, and we're happy.
It's a good result. Notwithstanding the result, I wouldn't recommend that process in the future. That's just my comment on that.
We've talked many times, the Freedom of Information Act is not intuitive. We have worked so hard to comply with it in every way we can. I have a direct line to Tom Hennick over there and the council there. Perhaps there are other ways to do it, but we're very careful about it, and sometimes people violate it inadvertently, sometimes people are careless, but in this case, the ruling was clear, whatever practice people decide to follow in the future, but it is very important to pay attention to freedom of information, and it's something that certainly I have been extremely attentive to for these 4 years.
And I might add, we've had other complaints against the town, and in my period of time here, we've prevailed happily on each one. It doesn't mean we're always going to prevail, because as Ellen said, you could inadvertently violate that law without even feeling that you were close to doing something that didn't comply. But we've been very successful so far. We have one outstanding complaint, a Freedom of Information request that was filed against the town for some information relating to Enoch Drive. It was filed by Kathy Wick, and we're in the process of reviewing that request.
It's a request for information.
It's a request for documents, yes. And we get that quite often, more often than you would think.
Okay,
Well, that's
anything else on that? Next, we have Personnel Committee report. Although we don't have executive session on the... Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a question. I thought we were supposed to do something about Enoch property this meeting. It was not on the agenda, obviously, but I wanted to know what has been happening to that.
I can give you a rundown in a second.
I'm sorry.
The issue that we had at the last meeting was the size, the width of the proposed easement that would go across the purchaser's property. The town was asking for 25 feet. The purchasers thought that was too wide. We had our building official with our engineer go out to the property, walk the property with the proposed purchaser, and their conclusion was that a 10-foot width was appropriate. That was different than what we had in the proposed memorandum of understanding, which I'm in the process of changing, and it will be presented to, we thought it would be best to present that to the new board since we were so close. We also have to have our engineer give us a legal description of the proposed easements, but I would expect that the new board would take this up in July.
Okay, so we can discuss it further then with the
new board. Will discuss it further.
I know.
Anything else? We now have a Personnel Committee report. I neglected to put executive session on the agenda, so I will make a motion that we add executive session to consider the Personnel Committee report. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think we have enough of us even with that. Any discussion or questions?
What do you want in there?
Oh,
Anybody?
Thank you. And invite in just town council.
Okay.
With town council.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so I think we can vote because we're 2/3 even with that. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you. We are now out of executive session. No votes were taken. I neglected to state when we went into executive session that the purpose was to discuss a possible increase in the compensation for Tony Genovese. We are now out of executive session, and we discussed the unanimous recommendation of the Personnel Committee that Tony's compensation be increased by adding an additional $6,000 a year to his deferred retirement contribution plan. I will now make the motion that Tony Genovese's deferred retirement contribution be increased from $7,000 a year to $13,000 a year. That is what we talked about. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Tony, we just all want to say thank you so much for everything you do. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We rely on it.
Thank you.
You make it look so simple, and that's a
Thank you.
gift to everyone and to the town
Thank you.
for everything.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 12. This is an action we have to take every year.
Every year.
The union employees receive a certain increase under the contract. Non-union employees are not entitled to that unless the board approves it, and that is our policy to always have the non-union employees get the same increase.
Correct.
Is that
Right.
So I will make a motion to approve a cost of living salary increase of 2.4% for non-union, full-time, and regular part-time employees effective July 1, 2017, in accordance with the compensation package for union employees as set forth in the agreement between the town of Woodbridge and AFSCME. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
How does this affect our budget for next year?
So for next year, we've budgeted for this
Already?
in each
Okay.
account. And it's
Good.
it's important because when we're audited each year, we're randomly selected employees throughout the town, and we have to provide justification for any increase that any employee gets back to this board. So this is an important piece. The union contracts are the other two pieces. So that's the reason.
Gotcha.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
I will move acknowledgement of receipt of the town clerk's report. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, now minutes. Mrs. Shaw, thank you very much for catching us up. Let me just say at this point, the minutes from tonight's meeting, Mrs. Shaw is going to expeditiously complete so that this board can meet on the 21st at 5 o'clock to approve the minutes. There may be one or two cleanup items of business. I think Tony may have something on the 21st at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, we've been invited to join the new board for just 15 minutes or so, and then the new board will be doing its business. So I just want to remind everyone, Jerry will send out a notice again. You've all been notified this could happen. We'll make sure Tony knows. But so this is not our last meeting. We will meet on the 21st. So actually, is it legal to move and second and then vote on a whole bunch of minutes at once? Do we have to do them one at a time?
You can do more.
You can do it.
Do more.
So Beth, I'm going to, do you have are there any corrections in these minutes other than technical typo minutes? No.
I didn't read through them completely, but I know that I wanted to attach a letter to our discussion on Enoch, and I don't see my letter attached to.
Right, because your letter was not part of the meeting. You never read it, you never put it in at the meeting, so it was not part of the meeting.
Oh,
That's why it's not here.
I thought I asked that it be.
You asked, I believe you discussed it in executive session, but in the end, I don't believe you ever did on the record.
That's fine.
That
I just
was why.
wanted to ask.
Okay.
All right.
So if there's
I'll
nothing.
just put it somewhere. I'll just submit it someplace else.
Okay.
All right.
So if there are no substantive changes, I'm just going to read through them then, make the motion for approval. Maybe I'll do 3 or 4 at a time, just so it's... Do them all?
Do all at once.
Okay, all right. I move approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 9th, 2016, the special meeting of February 22nd, 2017, the regular meeting of March 8th, 2017, the special meeting of March 27th, 2017, the special joint meeting with the Recreation Commission of April 19th, 2017, the regular meeting of April 12th, 2017, and the regular meeting of May 10th, 2017, and the special meeting of May 15th, 2017. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion other than typos and that kind of thing? Mr. Shaw? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Next item on the agenda is to acknowledge the resignation of our trail master, Mike Walters. Of course, we accept his resignation and thank him so much for his years of service. He's done a terrific job, and I'm sure the Conservation Commission will be discussing next steps to see if there's a way to replace his wonderful work. But thank you so much to Mike Walters. First Selectman's report, I just want to mention that Larry Greenberg has been appointed deputy moderator. The way it works in town is that the moderator appoints the deputy. We generally do 2 parties, and our moderator is a Democrat, Larry Greenberg is a Republican, so we've continued. I don't think it's a requirement, but we've continued that tradition.
Then they like switch it up or something, right? Every couple of years.
Every couple of years.
I think so,
Something like that.
right.
Yeah, so it's a Republican and a Democrat.
Right?
Yeah.
Since this is not our last meeting, I won't thank everybody so much for all the great things we've learned, and we'll talk about that next week. If anyone would like to make a liaison report, I open the floor to you right now.
I want to do one for Tony since
Okay. We'll come back in a half hour, see if you're done.
I'm going to rule that you can't be present.
If my liaison people were here today, both the superintendent of school and also the recreation, and they presented their issues and what they were doing with it, so I don't need one.
Okay.
You don't need one for me.
All right. Just before we adjourn, just a reminder again, we'll be meeting on May 21st at 5 o'clock.
May 21st?
At June 21st.
Thank you, God. Because
Thank you, Maria.
no,
Thank
I
you.
do that all the time myself,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure.
If there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Would you like to second adjourn? All those in favor? Okay, thank you.